There's a couple of heart-wrenching moments in this book. I'm enjoying this series so much. I'm binge reading it. It's so bad, so bad. I've been trying to alternate between book A, B, and C, and I'm doing a bad job of it because I'm binge reading the one series. So you're going to see several days of the same series going through. We'll see if we can alternate a few. Jesus, it's almost June. Lord have mercy. So anyways, welcome to the D. Louise book series. My name is Christina, K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books and talk books. I'm trying to learn some sign language here, and I'm doing it massively slowly. So very, very, very slowly. So please hit the like and subscribe. And if you do, could you stay subscribed a little while? Because I've just passed 200. Rah, rah, rah. But I don't want to jinx it because I've hit plateaus before and then had like 20 people unsub, and that was the end of it. And it took 6 months to come back. I started last September at like 170 and just back and forth. 180, 170, 180, 170, then 80, then 90, then 90 and 80 and 90 and 80. Finally have passed 2. So we started the other day with the prequel because even though she wrote it today, it's supposed to be a prequel and I wanted to read it. So we started with 0, Darius, 0.5. And then we moved on to Dark Lover. So I hope you check out those videos. And today we are doing book 2, Lover Eternal, Rage's book. And where are my glasses? Oh, they're there. So we are doing Lover Eternal, and I will warn you now, although if you are still here, because my analytics say you're no longer here. Spoilers! Lots and lots and lots and lots of spoilers, 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 spoilers. One of my YouTube channels that I watch often, they've got one of those old toys, and they go beep, 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 beep. Those spoilers, the whole video is spoilers. All of my videos of spoilers. In fact, I'm slowly approaching 800. Can you imagine 800 videos in a little over a year? And they are all spoilers. And don't forget to check out Star Trek Fridays, where we recap the episodes. And If Then Friday afternoons. If you like this author, then maybe you like this author. And Flashback Mondays, where I talk about a whole slew: mystery, historical romance, contemporary romance, paranormal, inspirational, urban, erotica, harlequins, the whole 9 yards, mystery, suspense, all of it. So please check those out. I work really hard on those. So let's get into it. Lover Eternal. And I love the beginning of this book. I have got to blow my nose. And be prepared for me to read a lot of this book to you because I enjoy it immensely. So, anyways. I enjoy it so much. So let's get started. I absolutely love the interaction with Butch and V throughout the entire series. And there was some speculation way back when the books first came out about they teetered around the edge, but they never actually anything. They hoovered, even though both of them eventually get lady wives. But they hoover around the edge, and J.R. Ward never jumped that broom, never jumped it at all, as far as I know. I mean, I haven't. We're gonna do the new ones as we go through, but they've never. The temptation was so great. Sometimes you got that feeling if they would just, but they never jumped the broom. But it was out there. The feeling was out there. So Butch O'Neill is now living. All the brothers are at the mansion. The Black Dagger Brotherhood, they protect the civilian vamps, and then they have the lessers. They're killing all the lessers. You read it all in the first couple books about the lessening society and the whole 9 yards. And Butch O'Neill is a cop that got mixed up with the boys last book, and is going to be permanent with the boys. And we also getting another new cast member, John Matthew, who, if you didn't know it already, he is Darius reincarnated with no memory. So, hell, V, you're killing me. Butch O'Neill mimed through his sock drawer, looking for black silk, finding white cotton. No, wait, he pulled out one dress sock. Not exactly a triumph. If I were killing you, cop, footwear would be the last on your mind. Butch glanced over at his roommate, his fellow Red Sox fan, one of his two best friends, both of whom, as it turned out, happened to be vampires. Fresh from the shower, Vicious had a towel wrapped around his waist, his chest muscles and thick arms out on display. He was pulling on black leather driving glove, covering up his tattooed hand. Do you have to go for my dress, Blacks? V grinned, fang flashing in the midst of his goatee. They feel good. Well, why don't you have Fritz go buy you some? And so they do some teasing back and forth. Butch is going to have a misunderstanding, and it's going to carry on for a few books. And it's part of the longest running. I'm a series person. I like character progression, and this is one of those that's going to carry. It's going to be a long thing, but it's going to be there for a while, and we're going to go through it. There's a lot of stuff with the characters. There's a lot of stuff with John that's going to last for several books. There's a lot of stuff with Butch that's going to be for several books. Little pieces here and there as the character progresses throughout the series. It's a really long-running series, and you got to get invested in it, and it's really, really good. I don't know. So, anyways, then Rage, it's Wrath is the king now. He's officially become king, and Rage, Vicious, Tor, Fury, Zadist, the brothers, and Butch, and future down the road, John Matthew, and some other stuff that comes up. Butch, because Rage is so good looking, Butch refers to him as Hollywood. The son of a bitch actually bent the laws of physics. He was so attractive. Blonde hair was cut short in the back and left longer in the front. Teal blue eyes were the color of Bahama sweaters, and the face made Brad Pitt look like a candidate for the Swan. What's doing, Hollywood? Butch asked. Butch smiled, revealing a splendid set of pearlies with the long canines. Time to go out, cop. Damn, vampire, didn't you get enough last night? The redhead looked like serious stuff, and so did her sister. You know me, always hungry. So they go out. So then we meet Mary. And Mary has cancer, or leukemia. I believe it's leukemia. And she also works at the suicide hotline as a volunteer. And she's forever getting these calls from someone who just hangs up. She just calls to hear her voice. And it turns out it's John Matthew, because he's not verbal, but he can sign. He grew up in orphanages, and we'll get his backstory, or his one that the scribed virgin made for him. Rage asks Vicious about the future, and it gets, well, I'm going to tackle this all the way to the end. I'm sorry. I usually leave the end a little open. Well, I might, but I don't know. but I love this stuff. Um, Rage, what? I'll uh, I'll tell you this. Your destiny's coming for you, and she's coming soon. Rage laughed. Oh, yeah? What's the female like? I prefer them. She's a virgin. Chill hot shot. A chill shot down Rage's spine and nailed him in the ash. You're kidding, right? Look in my eye. Do you think I'm jerking you up? V paused for a moment and then opened the door, releasing the smell of beer and human bodies along with the pulse of old Guns N' Roses song. As they went inside, Rage muttered, You're some freaky shit, my brother. You really are. V can tell the future, but he's vague on the details. And because the question isn't asked correctly until the end of the book, Rage doesn't find out until the end of the book. Hello, how are you? So then Mary works the prevention hotline, and this guy's been calling and calling, just calling and hanging up, and she doesn't feel threatened or anything by it. It's just a little weirded out. But when she gets home, apparently John Matthew has followed her home on several occasions with his bicycle, because he has a bike. And yes, ma'am. Hello. She's the baby of the family. She's the littlest one. We need to get some more little ones when we can get the funds. She needs a playmate. Her sister, who's technically her twin, the same age as her, same litter, just isn't as active, and this one needs someone to play with, and the old man is too old to play. Well, actually, she's out to destroy him every day. It's her hobby to the boy has been afraid of girls, cats. I've said that to people. He's afraid of girls. Oh, I'm sorry to hear he's afraid of you. He's not afraid of me. He's afraid of girls. Every female cat we've ever had has always abused the crap out of him, and he takes it. Let's say this is, let's say it's a stairway, and he's at this end of the stairway, and she's at this end of the stairway. You can pick him up and move him to the other side of her, so he's safe to go that way, and the idiot will go back down. What he does. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to tell a story about a book, a vampire book. Do you like vampire books? I like vampire books. Do you like vampire books? With a little romance in it. There's got to be a little something. Yes, ma'am. What? You drive me crazy. Where was I? Oh, so then Mary goes home, and she finds this guy in her backyard, and he uses sign language to her, and she was once a teacher, so she has sign language. And he says his name is John, and so she's able to talk to him. And Bella, her neighbor, is also part of the vampire community, and she sees John's tattoo. What's on your wrist? Mary asked. John held his arm out so she could inspect the leather bracelet. They were orderly markings on it, some kind of cross between hieroglyphics and Chinese characters. That's gorgeous. I made it. May I see? Bella asked, leaning over, her smile disintegrated and her eyes narrowed on John's face. Where did you get this? He says he made it. Where did you say you're from? John retracted his arm, a little unnerved by Bella's sudden focus. He lives here, Mary. He was born here. Where are his parents? Mary faced her friend, wondering why Bella was so intense. He doesn't have any. None? He told me he grew up in the foster care system, right, John? John nodded and cradled his arm against his stomach, protecting the bracelet. Those markings, Bella prompted. Do you know what they mean? The boy shook his head and then winced and rubbed his temples. After a moment, his hand sighed slowly. He says they don't mean anything. He just dreams of them and he likes the way they look. Bella, ease off, okay? The woman seemed to catch herself. Sorry, I'm really sorry. And Mary and John go on to conversation, and Bella runs to the telephone. Um, she couldn't believe she hadn't recognized him for what he was right off the bat. Then again, he hadn't gone through the change yet. And why would a vampire be hanging out in Mary's backyard? Bella nearly laughed. She hung out in Mary's backyard, so why couldn't others like her do the same? Putting her hands on the hips, she stared at the floor. What the hell was she going to do? When she searched John's conscious mind, she found nothing about his race, the people, his traditions. The boy didn't know a thing, had no idea who he really was or what he was going to turn into. He honestly didn't know what those symbols meant. She did. They spelled out T T E R R O R in the old language, a warrior's name. How was it possible he'd been lost to the human world? And how long did he have before his transition hit? He looked as if he was in the early 20s, which meant he had a year or two. But if she was wrong, he was closer to 25. He could be in immediate danger if he didn't have a female vampire to help him through the change. He was going to die. Her first thought was to call her brother Wrench. Always knew what to do about everything. The problem was once the male got involved in a situation, he took over completely. Then she thought about Havers, the vampire medical doctor, and then she decides she's going to call the Brotherhood, and she leaves a message for the Brotherhood. And then they arrange for John to be brought to the headquarters, and Mary is going to go with to be the translator because she does sign language. And the boys take care of some lessers. Butch sees Rage's beast for the first time. I don't know why he hadn't seen him sooner. They'd been there a couple of weeks by this point, and the beast comes out quite often, and that will be another big storyline further down the road. But they have a big meeting about the lessers, and Tor tells them about John Matthews. So they're going to have John Matthew come to the center as a possible trainee for the Brotherhood. So Bella, Mary, and John go to the Brotherhood the next night, and Fritz greets them. And Rage meets Mary and is 100% head over heels gone. However, because he doesn't get the full story from Mary, he doesn't know it yet. And he won't know it to the end of the book. And I am going to spoil it up the yin because I like it so much. And then you can go back and read it all for yourself. I like spoilers. I like knowing what's going to happen. And as we get, it's too early now. It's just June-ish. But when we start in July, we will get into Big Brother season, and I will get my little Vito. My husband made me a little Vito on scrap metal. He found a little lamp chain, 2 pieces of metal soldered together with another piece of metal going across. It's a circle with a line through it. And that's the power of Vito. And once we get into, I like watching the feeds. I'm a feedster. I like knowing who won what, and then I like going and watching the show and seeing how it happened. When we do the murder mystery books, I don't reveal the whodunit, but it's just different. It's just, but I like this. I like to talk about the books. I enjoy them immensely. Besides the fact that nobody's really watching my videos, I would like you all to be out there. I'm hoping there are hundreds of thousands of you out there watching this video at this juncture. But according to my analytics, you're not. So I hope you're still here. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I hope you're enjoying these books because I love these books. All of these books. There's 32 of those in my house, by the way. And I'm so mad at myself for getting rid of some books way back when. But anyways, so Rage sees Mary. "Who are you?" he demanded. "How did you get in here?" There was no answer, just quick breathing. She was utterly terrified of him, the smell of her fear like wood smoke in his nose. He softened his voice. "I'm not going to hurt you, but you don't belong here, and I want to know who you are." Her throat undulated under his hand as if she were swallowing. "My name is Mary. I'm here with a friend." Rage stopped breathing. His heart skipped a beat and then slowed. "Say that again." "My name is Mary Luce. I'm a friend of Bella's. We came here with a boy, John Matthew. We were invited." Rage shivered, a balmy rush blooming out all over his skin. The musical lilt of her voice, the rhythm of her speech, the sound of her words, it all spread through him, calming, comforting, chaining him sweetly. He closed his eyes. "Say something else." And he's like, "Please talk. Say anything. Just say anything." And she's like, she goes, "Nothing, nothing, 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 nothing." He just loves hearing her voice. And if V had given him more information, he'd know. But because V didn't give him the whole spiel, just a tip, he won't know. And he goes through hell because you don't know. And then at the end of the book, you're both sitting there going, duh, because he never really gets the full story until the end. So Bella introduces John Matthew to Tor. Tor gives him a whole bunch of questions. They will, Rage decides that he's got to see Bella, and Mary. Her name is Mary. He calls Bella to arrange a blind date. Well, not a blind date, but for Bella to convince Mary to meet him at a restaurant. And she's like, he's asked her, "What's a good restaurant?" And she goes, "Well, most humans like to go to TGI Fridays." So they go to TGI Fridays. And Rage, because Butch calls him Hollywood, he tells Mary his name is Hal E. Wood. Hollywood, but he tells her Hal E. Wood instead of Hollywood. So it's just, and she has a very low, first she has a low self-esteem. Well, I have a low self-esteem. This is why I can't believe it. I watch me sometimes, but I don't believe that anybody else is watching me because that's just the way I am. I don't believe I can do stuff. I have but if you're watching this, then I am doing something and I am entertaining you and I am telling you about this book that I really, really like. Maybe I'm telling you too much, but I like it. I enjoy it. They're good books. And they go to TGI Fridays, and Mary does not believe that this gorgeous hunk of a man wants to go out with her. She totally, absolutely believes, without a doubt, that he'd rather be with the other bimbos in TGI Fridays than with her. And he spends most of the day trying to tell her, "No, I want to be with you. I like you." And it just goes, she's just, no, you don't, I'm just a lowly little person. You want to go out with those 5-star girlfriends out there. And she just does not believe him. So, but I like the fact that he orders half the restaurant for his meal. He orders the chicken Alfredo, the New York strip, the cheeseburger, double on the fries, and nachos. She orders the Caesar salad, and she just can't understand why this man likes her. So then they spend a couple of chapters of thinking of each other, and Rage goes to her place, and he's been thinking about her all night. And after he's done with his evening activities with the Lessers, he goes to see her. and he startles her by standing outside her sliding glass doors. Hal, it's 4:30 in the morning. I know, but you're awake and so am I. God, he was so big in all that black leather, and with his face mostly in the shadow, he was more menacing than beautiful. And she actually considering opening the door. Clearly she was deranged. Look, Hal, I don't think it's a good idea. He stared at her through the glass. Maybe we can just talk this way then. Mary stared at him dumbfounded. The guy was willing to hang around, locked out of her house like a criminal, just so they could chat. Yes, ma'am. So it's just, why aren't you with a woman who wants you? Hal flinched. What I mean is those women tonight at the restaurant, they were all over you. Why aren't you having crazy hot sex with one of them? I'd rather be here talking with you than inside one of those females. And he tries to tell her, and she just, the whole book, she's like, why me? Why little me? I'm homely, I'm not gorgeous, and I'm dying of the leukemia or her cancer. And the whole book, it's a long running thing. And then Rage gets with Butch, and they do he's doing some push-ups and some barbelling things. I have a 2-pounder. So you're getting into some kind of shape, cop. Oh, come on now, Bush grinned. Don't let that shower we took go to your head. They came home the other night, and Butch had to help Rage in the shower because his beast had come out. It's a scotch pot, and I don't miss it. Butch ran a hand over his six-pack. Now tell me something. Why are you beating the crap out of yourself this morning? You have much interest in talking about Marissa? The human's face tightened up. Not particularly. Well, then, if you don't want to talk about Marissa, then I don't want to talk either. Even Stevens. And so then Tor suggests that Rage wipe Mary's memory of him, and he doesn't want to do it. And then she tells him that she has cancer. Right, I was right, it was cancer. So then Mary goes home. He takes her out to dinner again, or attempts to take her out to dinner. They end up running into the Lessers, and the Lessers try to attack them. And he does erase her memory for a little bit, but then he ended up giving it back to her. So that leads to a little bit of conflict. And then John Matthew calls Tor, or Tor goes down and he goes to see him, and they have a discussion about John Matthew coming to live with Tor and Wellesley. And then Rage gets burnt by the sun a little bit, and Mary sees the fangs, and he has to do a little bit of explaining. And he spends the whole day with her. He fears his beast is going to come out, but it doesn't. And he finally decides he's going to take her to the mansion. And this is some conflict in the book. Because he doesn't know. Because V didn't spill the whole thing, only a little bit of the premonition, and because Rage doesn't know, and because the Brotherhood doesn't know, then they're working on the fact that he has brought a female into their house without asking permission first. Well, he tried calling, but the guy was out of town. So he couldn't get a hold of the king, and he didn't speak to the king personally about what he wanted to do, and that's Wrath. And he has to be punished for this particular transgression. But first, Wrath took his head. Rage, man, we've got serious problems here. You violated a direct order twice. Then you drag a human into this house, which you know is forbidden. She's in danger. Ras slammed his fist into the desk, making the whole thing jump off the floor. You really don't want to interrupt me right now. Rage worked his molars, grinding, biting. He forced words of respect he usually offered freely. I meant no offense, my lord. As I was saying, you disobeyed Tor and compounded the offense by showing up with a human. What the hell are you thinking? I mean, shit, you're not an idiot in spite of how you're behaving. She's from the other world, so she's rank exposure for us. You have to know her memories are both long-term and traumatic by now. She's permanently compromised. And they go at it, and Wrath agrees for her to stay, but he's gonna be punished for it. But we don't get that far yet. Bella is sister to Revenge, and they will each get their own books. There's a little bit of a start of the. Is it? Yeah, it's in this one. We will do Bella and Zeta's story in the next book, Lover Awakened. That will be the next one. But right now, let's get back to Lover Eternal. So they start a little teasy weasies throughout this book for the next one. So John Matthew has a little bit of a scare when he panics and he calls Tor. And then Tor is angry that Rage and Mary got really, really close, and he marked her as his Shalom. And the scribe virgin has issued a decree. Now, see, I don't know why she didn't know. I think she knows, but she's playing. I don't know why she didn't know, because she's supposed to be the all-knowing. But it isn't until the end that she gets her full information either. So they all meet. Rage and Tor and Wrath and the other brothers are there too. And Wrath says, "Here, the scribe virgin has made a pronouncement. Has determined that you offended the Brotherhood in defying Tor's order and by bringing a human onto our turf. I'll be honest with you, Rage. She wants to override my decision about Mary. She wants the human out. You know where that leads. I told her you were prepared to walk. That probably cheered her up, Rage. She's been trying to get rid of me for years. Well, if it's your choice now, brother, if you want to remain with us, and if the human is to continue to be sheltered within these walls, the scribe virgin has demanded that you offer a rice." And that means that all the brothers are going to whip him. And he has no choice but to take it and to be whipped. And the scribe virgin will take away his beast, so he can't change in the middle of being whipped. He must be punished. He disobeyed their laws. So they whip him. And they whip him. And then they, after he's recovered, they have a little bit of a party to introduce Mary to everybody. And that's when Bella meets Zetas for the first time. So there's a little teasing there. And then later on, Rage had told Mary about that he needs to feed. And although he would like to feed from her, he can't do that. He needs to feed from one of their kind. So he's going to have a chosen come over. But when she was supposed to be in the room with him. But because of circumstances, he didn't know that Mary was there. And he had the chosen come in because he had to feed. And Mary sees him and the chosen go into the room, and she gets the wrong idea. So that later is cleared up. We also get John Matthew comes to live with Tor and Wellesley, and they feed him the appropriate food because he hasn't been able to eat much. His stomach's, because he's going to be doing the transition soon, he wasn't eating the right food. He didn't know what the right food was. So John Matthew moves in with Tor and Wellesley, and that's going to be a situation later on too. And then Mary watches Rage feed on Layla, and Rage calls Havers to try and see if they can come up with a cure, and they can't. She's had too many treatments, and then Rage goes through an incident, and his beast comes out, and Mary does something that no one else has ever been able to do: talk his beast down. The beast listens to her and obeys her because it's in love with her too, like Rage's. Its love for her is unconditional. So there's a little bit of an incident, and Bella goes home, and she spends the whole time. Bella goes home after the party and is thinking about Zadis, and she gets taken by a lesser. But that's a separate storyline. I shouldn't have said something about that. So Phage and Vicious have a talk about Mary, and Rage tells Mary why he turns into the beast. It's his punishment for 200 years because he killed a bird that belonged to the scribe virgin. And that will come up in future books. The birds, they will play a little bit of a role in future books. They will be a continuing part of the storyline there. So then, if you are not crying after chapter 49, it's just heart-wrenching, and I really shouldn't share it. But if you stuck with me this long, then he is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice so that Mary may live. So he does the ritual to call the scribe virgin. To what do I owe this pleasure? The scribe virgin said from behind him. You have surely not come about your beast. This is quite some time left on that, as I recall. Rage remained on his knees, his head bowed, his tongue tied. He found that he did not know where to begin. Such silence, the scribe virgin murmured, unusual for you. I would choose my words carefully. Wise warrior, very wise, given what you have come here for. You know? No question, she snapped. Truly, I am getting tired of having to remind the Brotherhood of this. Perhaps when you return, you will recall such etiquette to the others. My apologies. The edge of her black robes came into his vision. Lift your head, warrior, look at me. He took a deep breath and compiled. You are in such pain, she said softly. I can feel your burden. My heart bleeds for this human female of yours. He nodded. I would ask you, Saver, if it would not offend. The scribe virgin turned away from him, then floated over the marble, taking a slow turn around the courtyard. He had no idea what she was thinking or whether she was even considering what he'd request. For all he knew, she was out for a little exercise or about to walk away from him. That I would not do, warrior, she said as she read his mind. In spite of our differences, I would not desert you in that manner. Tell me something. What if saving your female meant you could never be free of the beast? What if having her live meant you must remain in your curse until you go into the Fade? I would happily keep it within me. You hate it. I love her. Well, well, clearly you do. Hope fired in his chest. It was on the tip of his tongue to ask if they had struck a deal. Mary could live now, but he wasn't going to risk tipping the balance of the negotiation by pissing off the scribe virgin with another question. She smoothed her way over to him. You have changed quite a bit since we had our last private meeting in that forest, and I believe this is the first selfless thing you have ever done. He exhaled, a sweet relief singing in his veins. There is nothing I would not do for her, nothing I would not sacrifice. Fortunate for you, in a way, the scribe virgin murmured, because in addition to keeping the beast within you, I require to give her up. He's not allowed to see her anymore. She's gonna wipe her memory completely. I can take her out of the continuum of her fate, making her whole and healthy. She will grow older. She will never be ill. She will decide when she wishes to go into the Fae. I will give her the choice to accept the gift. However, as I present the proposal, she will not know of you, and whether or not she consents, you and your world will ever be unknown to her. Likewise, she will not be known by any of those she has met, lessers included. You will be the only one who remembers her, and if you ever approach her, she will die immediately. So he sacrifices the love of his life for Mary. And the twist is, and I'm gonna spoil it, so you can stop here if you want, but I'm gonna spoil it but obviously you know this is a love story. When the scribe version discovers that Mary, due to all of her treatments, is unable to bear children, she decides that that is permanent punishment enough and allows Mary and Rage to be together. And I will go ahead and spoil the last thing because it's just too good. Yes, Mary decided miracles did happen in the world. She started laughing and crying at the same time and drank in Rage's smooth response to the outburst. A little later, she said, "Only my mother could have believed this." Believed what? My mother was a good Catholic. She had faith in God and salvation and eternal life. She kissed his neck, so she would have believed in all of this instantly, and she would have been convinced the Mother of God had been under those black robes just now. Actually, that was the scribe virgin, who's a lot of things, but not Jesus' mom, at least not as far as our lexicon goes. She lifted her head. You know, my mother always told me I'd be saved whether I believed in God or not. She was convinced I couldn't get away from the grace because of what she named me. She used to say that every time someone called out for me or wrote my name or thought about me, I was protected. Your name? Mary. She named me after the Virgin Mary. Rage breath caught, and then he laughed. What's so funny? His eyes were bright, shining teal blue. Just that vicious is never wrong. Oh, Mary, my beautiful virgin, will you let me love you for as long as I live? Don't you just love it? So, if you haven't already, please go back and watch Darius. Please go back and watch Dark Lover. And I hope you enjoyed Lover Eternal with me. And I hope I will see you in the next couple of days for Lover Awakened. And don't forget Beatrice Small later this week and Victoria Thompson later this week too. And maybe a surprise book in between. And don't forget Star Trek Fridays, Friday afternoons, and Flashback Mondays. So please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy.